Let's call her Emily. She's 29, a kind-hearted elementary school teacher from Asheville, North Carolina, a small artsy town where the streets are lined with maple trees and the air smells like fresh bread from the downtown bakeries. Emily's the kind of person who remembers every kid's birthday in her class, who keeps a jar of candy on her desk for the shy ones. She met her now husband, Daniel, 4 years ago at a bakery near downtown, where they bonded over a shared love of cinnamon rolls. They'd sit on a bench outside, splitting a pastry, talking about their dreams. A little house with a garden, maybe a dog, a life built on love and trust. Daniel proposed to her on a quiet night in their kitchen. No cameras, no audience, just the two of them. And a ring that belonged to his grandmother on his dad's side. Emily said yes, her heart full, thinking the hardest part was over. But she didn't know Daniel's mom, Maureen, had other plans. Plans that would turn their engagement into a battlefield. Maureen hated Emily from the start. And she didn't bother hiding it. Emily didn't come from money. Her parents were teachers. Her childhood home, a modest ranch house with a leaky roof. Maureen, on the other hand, prided herself on her social status, her country club friends, her designer handbags. She wanted Daniel to marry someone better. Someone with a pedigree, not a school teacher who wore jeans to dinner. The first time Emily met Maureen at a family barbecue. Maureen accidentally spilled red wine on Emily's dress, then laughed it off with a backhanded compliment. "You're so brave to wear white with all this food around." Over time, it got worse. Maureen would make snide comments about Emily's job. Teaching must be so easy. All those summers off, or her cooking. Some people just prefer homemade, I guess. After Emily brought a pie to Thanksgiving, when Emily laughed at Daniel's jokes or touched his arm, Maureen would flinch, her face twisting like she'd been slapped. She'd say things like, "Daniel always had such good taste. Until now. Or you two seem happy. For now." Daniel brushed it off, saying his mom would come around. Emily wanted to believe him, but she saw the truth in Maureen's eyes. This wasn't dislike, it was war. 2 days after the proposal, Emily and Daniel went to Maureen's house for dinner to share the news in person. Emily showed her the ring, a simple gold band with a small sapphire, glowing with history. Maureen stared at it for 3 seconds, her lips curling into a sweet smile. "Don't worry," she said, her voice dripping with honey. "This wedding will never happen." Daniel laughed, thinking it was a joke. "She's just kidding," he said, squeezing Emily's hand. But Emily was looking straight at Maureen, and she knew it wasn't a joke. So she leaned in, smiled back, and whispered, "So am I." Maureen tilted her head, like she hadn't heard. But Emily knew she had, at first. Emily thought Maureen was just being dramatic. But then things started going wrong. They'd book a vendor, a florist, a DJ, a baker. And within a week, the vendor would call to cancel, saying they were overbooked or had a conflict. Emily was confused until a photographer slipped up. "Your mom called and said to cancel," he told her. "She said you found someone cheaper." Emily blinked. "Me mom." What was her name? Maureen. I think that's when Emily realized Maureen was pretending to be her, calling vendors to cancel, trying to sabotage the wedding. Emily called every vendor back, rebooking what she could. But the damage was done. Some had already taken other clients. Maureen didn't stop there. Emily and Daniel had set up a simple gift registry. Kitchen stuff, nothing fancy. Maureen called the store, claiming to be the mother of the bride, and removed everything she didn't like, replacing it with absurd items. A $700 crystal punch bowl, a porcelain cat statue, a set of 24 wine glasses with her initials on them. Emily was furious when she found out, but she didn't confront Maureen, not yet. Then, 2 months before the wedding, Emily had a fitting for her dress at a local boutique. She arrived with her maid of honor and a bridesmaid, only to find Maureen waiting inside with Daniel's ex-girlfriend. They stood there, Maureen with her arms crossed, the ex giving an awkward smile, like she knew she shouldn't be there. "We just wanted to see what all the fuss was about," Maureen said, her tone icy. Emily didn't cry or yell. She turned to the boutique owner and said, "They're not with me. Please ask them to leave." The owner hesitated, but eventually escorted them out. That night, Emily sat in her car, staring at her reflection in the mirror, and made a decision. Okay, she thought, you want a war. Let's do this. Emily and Daniel came up with a plan. They got legally married at the courthouse a month before the big wedding. Just the two of them, and two friends as witnesses. No one else knew. They had their rings, their license, their vows. They were already husband and wife. The big wedding, the one with guests, food, photos, dancing, would just be a party now. A celebration of something Moren couldn't stop. They kept planning like nothing had changed. But Moren got bolder. She tried to change the seating chart, book her own priest, even showed up to the venue in a white beaded gown that looked like a wedding dress, complete with a fur stole, like she was the star of a soap opera. The venue was a vineyard outside Asheville. Private and quiet, chosen so Moren couldn't interfere early. But she showed up 2 hours before the ceremony, marching into the reception area, giving orders to the staff, telling the caterers to change the menu, the DJ to play her favorite songs, the florist to move the arch because the lighting was wrong. The wedding planner, Janice, a scent of a woman, stepped in. Moren, you're not the bride, she said. Stop acting like you are. Moren, he said. I'm his mother. Janice didn't blink. And I'm running this wedding. If you don't stop, I'll have you escorted off the property. Moren backed off. For the moment, an hour before the ceremony, Daniel knocked on the bridal suite door, his face pale. I just got a text from my mom, he said, showing Emily the message. It read, I can't stay and watch this mistake. I know you think you love her, but love doesn't erase blood. One day you'll understand. Goodbye. Emily stared at it. She's bluffing, she said. She wants us to chase her. Daniel nodded, but he looked shaken. Do you want to go through with this? Emily asked. He didn't hesitate. Yes, the ceremony started on time. Emily walked down the aisle, her heart racing, not from nerves, but from adrenaline. Moren sat in the second row, alone in her white gown, arms crossed, glaring as Emily passed. The ceremony went smoothly. Vows, rings, tears, clapping. But right as the officiant was about to pronounce them husband and wife, Moren stood up. Stop, she shouted. Everyone turned, gasping. Daniel, you don't have to do this, she said, pointing at Emily like she was a disease. You can still walk away. You don't have to throw your life away for this. Emily didn't flinch. She turned to the officiant and said, Can we wrap this up? He nodded. They kissed. The crowd clapped except for Moren. The reception was a minefield. Janice had security posted near the buffet and the cake, expecting trouble. Moren tried to unplug the DJ during the first dance. Security stopped her. She handed out envelopes to guests. Some said they were letters accusing Emily of manipulating Daniel. Others said they were apologies. Most guests threw them away. Then, 20 minutes into dinner, the fire alarm went off. Everyone had to step outside. A false alarm. No fear. The last person seen near the control panel, Moren. While they waited outside, Daniel's sister showed Emily a message thread between her and Moren. Moren had paid a family friend $500 to delay the officiant, hoping to stall the ceremony so she could talk sense into Daniel. The friend backed out at the last minute. Daniel read the messages, his face blank. He didn't say a word for a full minute. Then walked to the mic in the middle of the reception. The room went quiet. I want to thank you all for being here, he said, especially after everything that's happened today. Some nervous laughter. He looked at Moren. When we got engaged, someone told us this wedding would never happen. People turned. Some already knew. Well, she was right, Daniel said, looking at Emily. She nodded. Because this isn't our wedding day. We got married last week at the courthouse. Just the two of us. Gasps filled the room. This is just a party. So congratulations. You're all here to celebrate something that already happened. Moren screamed, a sound so raw it echoed through the vineyard, then stormed out. This time, no one chased her, but Moren wasn't done. An hour later, Janice came up to Emily. Pal, have you seen the gift box? She asked. The white decorative box where guests had been dropping cards and envelopes was gone. A server saw Moren walking to the parking lot with it earlier. Emily and Daniel drove to Moren's house. Emily still in her gown. Daniel in his tux. Moren opened the door, feigning surprise. Oh, what a nice surprise. Everything okay? Daniel's voice was ice cold. Where's the box? She crossed. her arms. I don't know what you're talking about. Mom, he said. I'm not asking again. She turned, walked to the guest room, and sat on the bed. The box was on the dresser, untouched. Daniel picked it up. Moren spoke, her voice low. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You made a fool of me. Daniel looked at her. We didn't make you do anything. You did that yourself. She shook her head. You don't understand. You're my son. You were supposed to stay with me, not marry her. Her voice dripped with venom on the word her. Daniel turned to Emily. Let's go. Back at the venue, they opened the box. Dozens of cards. Some cash, some checks, a few small gift envelopes. 2 cards stood out. One from Daniel's cousin had a note. Be careful. We overheard Moren talking about contesting your marriage. Something about Danielle being under duress. The second, from a family friend, just said, get a lawyer. Daniel called a relative who used to work in family law. Moren had been researching annulments, asking a notary about undoing a marriage under emotional coercion. She'd also spread a rumor that Daniel had a secret trust fund, and Emily was after it. There was no trust fund. 2 weeks later, they got a certified letter from Moren's lawyer. She was petitioning for guardianship over Daniel, claiming he was mentally unfit to make decisions like marriage. Daniel was let in. The hearing was in a small courtroom in Buncombe County. Moren showed up with a folder of evidence. Out of context texts, a photo of Daniel looking tired, an email she wrote herself, pretending to be a concerned neighbor. Daniel stood up. Calm. Your Honor, I'm 31. I have a job. I pay my bills. I chose to marry my wife. My mother can't accept that she's not the center of my life anymore. The judge denied the petition. Moren looked like she'd been slapped. A week later, Daniel's cousin sent them a USB drive with videos from the rehearsal dinner. One clip caught Moren talking to Daniel's sister, not knowing the mic was on. I had to stop it. Moren said, I told Daniel years ago I'd cut him out if he ever married someone like her. He owes me everything. I kept that boy alive when his dad left. I gave up my life for him, and now he gives it all to her. I will not be replaced. Daniel sat in silence, then closed the laptop and walked out. He was gone for 3 hours. When he came back, his eyes were red. I believed her, he said. When I was younger, I believed I owed her everything, that she was all I had. I thought she loved me. I think she does. But it's not real love. It's not healthy. She doesn't see me as a person. She sees me as hers. He sat on the floor and cried. Emily sat with him, and they didn't talk for the rest of the night. It's been a year since the wedding, and Emily and Daniel are still healing. They sent the video to the family. Not for revenge, but for truth. Daniel's sister and 2 cousins cut ties with Moren. Some family friends stopped replying to her weekly updates. Others made excuses. She didn't mean it. She's just lonely. Daniel said something Emily will never forget. She's lonely because she made herself alone. They got one letter from Moren, a stiff, formal apology with no real remorse. Just lines like, I see now that you're your own person. I hope for reconciliation someday. They didn't reply. The money from the gift box, every check, every dollar, they donated to a local women's shelter in Moren's name. The shelter sent her a thank you card. Emily and Daniel are building a new life, free from Moren's shadow. They bought that little house with a garden, adopted a dog named Cinnamon. After the roles they shared on their first date. Daniel still flinches when his phone rings sometimes, still hesitates at the words family gathering. But they're healing together. And every time Emily thinks of Moren standing there in that white gown, screaming in front of 100 people, she smiles. Because Moren was right. That wedding never happened. The real one did. Without her. Emily and Daniel's story shows what happens when a mother's control turns a wedding into a war, and how love can triumph over sabotage. They uncovered a secret that revealed Moren's true motives. But they built a future stronger than her lies. Sometimes, the hardest battles lead to the sweetest victories. What do you think? Should Emily and Daniel ever let Moren back into their lives? Or keep their distance for good? Have you ever faced a family member who tried to control your choices? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. These stories connect us, showing us we're not alone in our struggles. If you enjoyed this tale, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. I'm here every day with new tales from Reddit and beyond. So stick around. See you next time.